Have you ever watched a sitcom and started to wonder how on earth these guys got so lucky? I want to examine some popular sitcom characters and consider whether they would have gotten as lucky as they did on their respective shows, in the current climate, and in real life. The people in question are George from Seinfeld, Frasier from Frasier, and Alan from 2.5 Men. In order to do that, we have to first acknowledge that there might be multiple reasons which contribute to why these men might have gotten us lucky. One of those reasons are cultural indicators, which showcase that the current habits of young people between the ages of 20 to 30 have indeed changed over the years. One thing to note is that these characters needed so many sexual partners. New partners opened the doors for new conflicts. Thus, fresh plot points per episode or per couple of episodes. More drama equals more episodes, more situations, and quirks to explore. The number of partners echoes the somewhat exaggerated lifestyle of a typical sitcom character. It solidifies the characterization that these men are a little too fixated on themselves and getting validation, often failing to self-reflect as a result. Therefore, the writers exploit these inventions, let's say, as a way to perpetuate and project the complexes of each of these men. It could also be a satirical move on their part, a cheeky way to say, we know this is way too good to be true, way too good to be realistic, it's not meant to be. From the 80s to the early 2000s, there were no dating apps, no social media, no online stalking. People approached each other at parties, on the street, at work. People were forced to socialize and partner up in person. Was that a more efficient way to partner up? And is that the reason why young people nowadays might be having less sex compared to the previous generations? Well, there might be multiple reasons, and there's a few that pop to mind. First is the rise of conservatism. It means more people are morally opposed to casual relationships and or sex before marriage. Secondly, increase in crime. Naturally, women are more prone to rejecting strangers approaching them and even less likely to go home with them. Lastly, less physical interactions. This means that people are less likely to meet someone in person, and as a result, there's an abundance of unskilled bachelors when it comes to face-to-face flirting. Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist specializing in love and relationships, shares some very interesting insight. It's surprising to hear her say, at least to me, that relationships blossoming via dating apps have a high success rate. She's also a firm believer that this generation is more reserved with who they have sex with, unlike previous generations. She attributes this to so-called slow love. Young people now are more willing to ditch the labels in the beginning phase of a romantic partnership. They test the waters and take time to evaluate compatibility and long-term goals. This leads to healthier relationships and, by extension, longer and more successful marriages. Fewer but more meaningful first dates. Millennials are leading this, she says, and they're being careful. Thus, she confirms that millennials are indeed having less sex, and for some, that's a conscious choice. They're preoccupied with responsibilities, securing their financial freedoms, going after their dreams, traveling, and they want to ensure that time spent romantically and sexually is with a person worth their time. So, let's have a look at 3 sitcom characters. In terms of status, he's often unemployed. On rare occasions, he has an impressive job, but more often, he ends up back to living with his parents. His style, he has a bald spot, he's short and chubby with a cute and quirky smile, and an overall decent dresser. His character, well, he's inconsiderate and rude, but he has confidence. He's a compulsive liar, he's self-aware, humorous, loud, expressive, and inventive. His lifestyle heavily revolves around his relationships with Jerry, Elaine, and Kramer, which means that he usually ends up at a football match, at a social event, a trip, or a party. He's often spotted in restaurants, cinemas, and malls. Somewhat unrealistic. George would appear too performative and obnoxious to most of the female population of today. However, in the right context and with enough confidence, I believe George would still be able to charm his way into bed with some. Less, but some. Frasier, he's famous, he has a great multifaceted job, and he lives in a fancy apartment in Seattle. His style, he's a sophisticated dresser with a bald spot, but have in mind he's our oldest candidate. His character, he's smart and eloquent, but can often come across as neurotic, snobbish, and sarcastic. He's charming, confident, he knows what he likes, and he cares about his friends and family. Most of the time, he's morally conscious. In terms of lifestyle, it's rich, both literally and metaphorically. He has work events to attend, his workplace is busy and full of people, he's culturally active in the opera and in the theater, and he's even part of some prestigious clubs, including but not limited to a wine club. Somewhat realistic, his status, his class, his profession are timelessly considered a huge bonus for a potential partner to have, which would attract many women at any given period in time. Employed is a very generous term here. He's a single father, he lives with his brother or with his best friend, but he never has his own place. His style is a blend of conservative and juvenile, it's colorful, somewhat presentable, and even attractive in some rare cases. His character tends to be performative, annoying, cheap, insecure, but sometimes driven by a moral compass and a humorous attitude. Thus, his presence is positive and goofy, he's a good father, and sometimes he's even knowledgeable. His lifestyle is not that exciting. He has some minimal fruitful interactions at work, infrequent outings with Charlie at the local pub, so very limited number of social interactions overall. I would say quite unrealistic, even considering he's the one with the least amount of partners. Most women today, if they were lucky enough to even meet him, would find him off-putting and even pathetic. But, on the other hand, some ladies could be attracted to his grounded nature and father-driven lifestyle. Overall, it seems like the practice of sexual freedom, which often manifested as a lot of sexual partners on screen in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, is strikingly different compared to the habits of young people today. It reflects a generational, economical, as well as technological shift, which has influenced how we love, how we date, and how we have sex.